And we're just about ready for the invocation and the national anthem from Mitchell Stadium in Bluefield. As you may have heard, that was the national anthem presented by the Graham G-Man Ensemble, and we'll give you an overview and a list of our sponsors, the people that make this game possible. Gate City Blue Devil football on STE Cablevision Channel 30 is brought to you by State Line Graphics, offering the best service for your printing needs, located in Weber City. By King Ford in Gate City, where you'll find the best prices on quality Ford cars and trucks. By Roberts Tire and Recapping. Fall is a great time for new tires from Roberts like Firestone and Michelin. By Magnolia Place, the place where you'll find the perfect Christmas gift on East Jackson Street in Gate City. By Weber City Drug, great prescription service also featuring UPS and fax for your convenience. And by Nations Bank with a new ATM at the Weber City office and great deals on private lines of credit throughout Scott County. Blue Devil football is also brought to you by Doc Whitley Nationwide Insurance, by the Campus Drive-In, and by Willis Pharmacy. Thank you to all the sponsors who help us bring you Blue Devil football on Channel 30. This past week and throughout the season, the Blue Devil boosters have been real active, and we would like to, on Channel 30, recognize them for their support during the season and the playoffs. The boosters erected a Go Big Blue sign at Gwen's in-laws' home just above the stadium. And they've also organized a pep rally this week, Friday morning after the practice for the players. They also organized a convoy today for today's game, and we'd like to thank you from Channel 30 to the boosters, the Big Blue boosters at Gate City. Gate City in Game 6 defeated Graham 10-0 at Gate City. Graham made the regional championship this Saturday by defeating Virginia High last week 7-6. And Gate City, as we all know, defeated Tazewell 13-12 in a comfort behind thrilling finish at Gate City. Both teams are similar in a lot of phases in that they play great defenses. Both play a multi-front defense and give you different looks. Graham basically on offense will use a version of the wishbone featuring the running of Jacob Hughes and has been Brandon Banks, but the word we get up here today is Banks is injured and will be replaced by George Webb. They also feature the quarterback Easley, the fullback Easley, a 5'10", 225-pound junior, and the quarterback for Graham is the coach's son, Glenn Carlock Jr. Now we will, I'll give you the starting lineups for both teams. On offense for Graham, at split end, J.C. Harmon, 6'2", 198 senior. Left tackle, David Bailey, 6'2", 183 junior. At left guard, Zach James, 6 feet, 231-pound sophomore. At center, Brad Truman, 5'10", 208-pound junior. At right guard, Aaron Rossi, 6'1", 251-pound senior. At right tackle, Steve Scott, 6'1", 298-pound senior. At tight end, Jeremy Farmer, 6'2", 170-pound senior. The quarterback, as we said a while ago, was Glenn Carlock, Jr., 5'11", 160-pound senior. The left halfback in the wishbone, George Webb, 5'8", 145-pound senior. The fullback, Tony Easley, 5'10", 225-pound junior. And the right halfback is Jacob Hughes, 5'9", 145-pound senior. As we look across the way from the visiting locker room, it appears that the Blue Devils are just about ready to come on to the field for the coin toss, and here comes the Blue Devils onto the field at Mitchell Stadium for the Region 4 Division III Championship playoff against Graham. The starting lineup for the Blue Devils today: Matt McClellan at split end, 6'1", 170-pound senior. At left tackle, J.C. Oates, 6'3", 235-pound junior. At left guard, Matt Johnson, 6 feet, 207-pound senior. The center, Jason Kilgore, 5'11", 270-pound junior. The right guard, Chad Beasley, 6'4", 200-pound sophomore. The right tackle, Sean Becker, 6 feet, 200-pound senior. The tight end, Wes Ford, 6 feet, 170-pound senior. The quarterback for the Blue Devils, Josh Shoemaker, 6'3", 180-pound sophomore. The left halfback, Matt Clayball, 5'9", 150-pound senior. The fullback, Kevin Gibson, 5'9", 170-pound senior. And the right halfback, Hank Clayball, 5'9", 150-pound senior. As the captains for today's game approach midfield to have the toss of the coin, we will let Gwen shoot this and then see who wins the toss. Look like the captains today for the Blue Devils is Matt Johnson and Matt McClellan. Gate City has won the toss and declined until the second half to make their choice. So let's see if if Graham will not take the ball.
Larry, as you pointed out earlier, Gate City coming into this game with a lot of momentum behind them over their come-from-behind victory last week against Tazewell in the fourth quarter. Also, Graham had a tough matchup against Virginia High last week. So both of these teams are really pepped up and ready to come on the field and play each other. As you said, there's a lot of similarities between these two programs, so it should make for an exciting ball game here today.
I believe you're right, Daniel. You know, everybody knows that Coach Colabro played for Coach Carlock when he was in high school. Coach Carlock was his coach at Beaver High School, I believe, in West Virginia, and naturally, a coach that is coached under another person is probably going to pick up some of his tendencies. He's going to coach a whole lot like the person that he was taught by, and both teams appear to always have played good defense. Coach Carlock will bunch up with an 8-man line and dare you to run the football, and probably blitz his linebackers on both run blitz and pass blitz. And the Blue Devils play a variety of defenses. They'll play a 4-4 and a couple more. Deep for Graham to receive the kickoff is number 6, Jacob Hughes, and number 16, George Webb. Matt McClellan has the ball teed up at the 40 and is prepared to kick off. And the kick is a high, short kick. It's going to be fielded by the Graham G-man at the 18 and hit and thrown at the 15-yard line. The tackle was made, I think, by Benny Wolf and Bo Hartsock that time for the Blue Devils.
Good field position as far as the Devils are concerned here, starting off the ball game, Larry, on the 15-yard line.
Yeah, it is good field position. The Blue Devils have done well to keep Graham deep, and if they can shut down this wishbone offense, it'll be should be pretty good for the Devils. Should come out of this thing pretty good. Now Graham breaks the wishbone, goes into power out formation with Hughes at the tailback. The fake to the fullback, hand off to Hughes. He comes across right guard, across the 15-yard line, picks up maybe a yard and a half on the play. Tackled that time by Matt Johnson, I believe, along with Benny Wolf, Brian Burke. So the play picks up 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8 for the G-men on the Blue Devil, looks like 17-yard line. Gate City in a 4-man front, 4 linebackers, 3 defensive backs, and now they move their defensive backs up as Graham splits out receivers, 2 on the left side, 1 on the right. I formation, handoff to the fullback easily, and he's hit and stopped behind the line. Tackle that time by Housewright and by Matt Johnson, I believe.
Larry, again, we see the Blue Devils defense holding on to the Graham running backs as they try to get some yardage on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 8. No gain on the play.
Yeah, Lindsey Fisher that time was it was Housewright and Lindsey Fisher on the tackle. Graham again, the I formation, split out receivers, 2 wide right. Carlock drops back, throws a little out pass that hits in the hands of 22, the receiver. That's J.C. Harmon, and he drops the ball incomplete. Blue Devils had pretty good pressure. I believe it was going to be short of a 1st down anyhow if he had made the reception. Would have been close. So Graham runs 3 plays, 2 running plays, 1 pass play, and now we'll have to punt from the shadow of their own goal line. Looks like the punter is, I believe that's number 13 or 43. 43, I believe.
It's Joe
Beavers. Beavers gets a punt off, a good, high, long, sprawling punt. Matt Clayball makes a reception at the 40, circles up across the 45, steps out of bounds at the 46-yard line, we'll call it. So the Blue Devils take over in pretty good field position here. Ball on their own 46-yard line. And we'll see if we can get the football moving here for the Blue Devils. Blue Devils have Shoemaker at the quarterback spot. And we'll open up in looks like a pro set. Only a run and shoot formation, a 1 back. Kevin Gibson's wearing number 35 today instead of number 40. Handoff is to Gibson. Drives over left guard, left tackle, picks up about 2 yards on the play. Tackle that time, I believe, was made by number 70, Rick Owensby. So the Blue Devils start out with a little slant off of left guard, left tackle, pick up 2 yards, make it 2nd down and 8. We've got 9:48 to go in the 1st quarter with no score. Blue Devils with 2 tight ends this time and a flanker left. Shoemaker, long count, rolls back to his left, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage. Gets rid of the ball to save a loss because he had a receiver there in the neighborhood, Hank Clayball. Pretty sharp thinking by Shoemaker that time to unload the football, Daniel.
Yes, it was. It's a good thing that Clayball also was in the area, or it could have been an intentional grounding call, but there was the potential receiver in the area, and it was, as you said, a wise choice by Shoemaker.
Yeah, Graham blitzed the linebacker that time, got through and had Shoemaker before he ever had a chance to set up. So that makes it 3rd down and 17 now. Blue Devils in a full house backfield. Graham, an 8-man line. Hand off to Gibson. He circles left end and only gets back to the line of scrimmage. Tackle that time by number 66 for the Graham G-man. That's David Bailey.
The G-men's defense beginning to pay back Gate City's defense on the 1st drive of the ball game. This time it'll be Gate City having to punt the ball away. However, they will be in better field position than what Graham was when they had the kickoff.
You're right. Long snap, good snap back to the kicker. And not a real good kick off the side of his foot, but the Graham player lets it roll, and the ball is going to be down at the 19-yard line. So Graham picks up about 3 yards on the exchange of punts that time. McBrien's punt wasn't the prettiest punt that you ever saw, but it had pretty good results on the end. I was looking over the stats of the game played at Gate City, and in the 1st half, Daniel, Graham held Gate City to minus yardage rushing in the 1st half at Gate City in Game 6 when we won 10-6. Graham 1st and 10 on their own 19-yard line. Carlock hands off to the fullback easily, and he breaks 1 tackle, gets up to the 20-yard line, where he's tackled by Brian Burke, I believe. Graham, when they played Gate City in Game 6, did not run the fullback very much. They tried to run wide with their speed when they had Banks healthy and with Hughes. And this Hughes young man has a younger brother on this team also that's a speed demon. So both of these Hughes boys, anytime they're in the lineup, have a chance of breaking a big play for a touchdown. Carlock drops back, throws an out pattern. It's complete to Jacob Hughes, and he's hit and tackled just as he makes the catch by Benny Wolf. So a gain on the play of maybe 3.5 yards, going to make it 3rd down and 5. Blue Devils so far played pretty tight defense with their pass defense with their linebackers. They've kept their linebackers close and put their linebackers out in pass coverage. And Carlock, I believe, at Gate City only threw the ball 5 times maybe in the game there, and we've already played less than half of a quarter here, and he's thrown the ball 3 times already. 3rd down and 5. Ball spotted on the 20, we'll call it the 23-yard line of Graham. Run the pitch to Hughes. The Blue Devils have him hemmed in. He's going to be thrown for a loss behind the line of scrimmage at the 16-yard line. One of the first people to hit him was Beasley, and Joel Stacy also, along with Larry Jackson on the tackle. So Blue Devils have done a good job defensively if we can only get something started offensively and put some points on the scoreboard. Beavers should drop back to punt formation again here. And we have both play balls, Hank and Matt, just inside the 50-yard line or right at midfield. Blue Devils with a 9-man line. Good snap. Devils come with a rush. Beavers gets off a high, long, deep punt. Hank Clayball makes the catch at the 44, breaks up across the 45 to about the 47-yard line.
Again, the Blue Devils getting some fairly decent field position on that punt away by Graham, Larry. It looks like maybe this time that they can get a little bit more yardage on this opportunity than they did the last.
Well, without a doubt, Daniel, so far the Blue Devils have had an advantage on field position. Graham has started 2 drives inside their 20, and Gate City started 2 drives right at midfield. But now being able to go against this tough Graham defense is going to be rough. 8-man line for Graham. Pro set for the Blue Devils. Handoff on a little inside trap to Hank Clayball. Breaks it up across midfield to about the 49 for Graham. That'll be a pickup of about 3 yards on the play. Closer to 4, we'll call it 2nd down and 6, as the Blue Devils for maybe the first time have struggled into Graham territory. Blue Devils, I'm sure, would like to run the ball if at all possible, keep the ball on the ground, use the clock up, and keep it away from Graham's offense. Blue Devils with 2 tight ends in and a wing back set right this time. Handoff to Gibson, breaks across right tackle, up across the 45 down to about the 43 of Graham. So 2 running plays is awful close to a first down. Looks like he may be about a yard short of having the first down.
Gate City's offense doing a lot better on this drive than they did last drive against the Graham defense. As you said, are approaching a first down in 3 plays.
Yeah, the Blue Devils have gone on both running plays with 2 tight ends here to try to neutralize that 8-man line that Graham had. Wing back set left. Shoemaker on a quarterback keeper struggles up to the 41, which should be, well, they're going to spot his forward progress across the 40 at the 39, which is more than enough for a first down. So the Blue Devils sure have a good drive going. 3 running plays and a first down. If they can continue that and put some points on the scoreboard early here, it would definitely be a big asset to the Blue Devils. Graham and Virginia High last week played 4 quarters with only one team scoring 6 and the other team 7, and that's 2 pretty good defensive teams last week also. Shoemaker on a pitch left to Hank Clayball, gets a block, breaks it inside the 30 down to about the 29. It's going to be real close to a first down. I believe he's got another one. Good block that time on the left side of the Blue Devil offensive line by J.C. Oakes and Matt Johnson. So a good play that time.
Yeah, that's right, Larry. Good job all around by the Devils offense there. Clayball picking up another first down for Gate City and coming within 29 yards, it looks like, of a touchdown.
1st and 10 at the Graham 29-yard line. Same set, wing back set right. Handoff this time to Gibson. Breaks through a big hole up across the 20 down to about the 18-yard line. Fumble on the play, but the official had spotted the ball dead before the fumble. Another first down for the Blue Devils.
Gibson saw the hole that time and took advantage of it, and it did pay off as another first down. That's 3 first downs in a row for Gate City. They are hammering away at the Graham defense.
Good line blocking that time on the right side by Jason Kilgore, Chad Beasley, and Sean Becker. Good line blocking that time on the right side by Jason Kilgore, Chad Beasley, and Sean Becker. Same set for the Blue Devils. Wing back set right, 2 tight ends in. Graham jumps, and we have a flag on the play, which should be a 5-yard penalty going in Gate City's favor for offsides Graham.
First penalty of the ball game going against Graham. As you said, it'll be 5 yards for the Devils, bringing them that much closer to 6 points.
Blue Devils here seem to have a pretty good drive going. It started just around midfield, a couple yards back inside their own 46, I believe, was where the drive started. And have driven the ball down now to, looks like about the 13-yard line. 1st and 5 from the 13-yard line. Graham feints a blitz with her linebackers. Handoff to Gibson, breaks a tackle, struggles across the 10 down to about the 8. It's going to be maybe a yard short of a first down.
Gibson, a strong running back for the Devils as he came through the Graham defense that time, struggling to get every inch that he could off of that play.
Yeah, Graham, I've noticed in the game that we played at Gate City and this game also, they'll blitz with their linebackers even on running situations. So you have 2 kinds of blitzes, a pass blitz and a run blitz, and evidently those linebackers coming on a run blitz. Same set, except the wing back set to the left this time. Handoff to Gibson, breaks a tackle, should have a first down inside the 8 at about the 7, I believe.
Should be first and goal for the Devils.
Blue Devils have just kept the ball on the ground all the way on this drive, have not thrown a pass. Really no reason to, as long as you're moving the ball on the ground. So looks like Matt McClellan will check in now at a wide receiver spot. So the Blue Devils may change a little something here with McClellan in as a flanker. But he's going to line up in a tight end formation. Blue Devils still with 2 tight ends and a full house backfield this time. Shoemaker, handoff Gibson, across the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown, Gate City.
Again, it's Gibson breaking through the line, pulling out the 6-point touchdown for Gate City as they go on the board first here at Mitchell Stadium.
Great blocks that time by Matt Johnson, Jason Kilgore, and Chad Beasley, right up the gut of the offensive line. McClellan now will attempt the extra point. Shoemaker will hold. The snapper, I believe, is Lindsey Fisher. Snap is high. Shoemaker gets it down, and McClellan gets it up, and the point after is good. So with 1:52 to go in the first quarter, the Blue Devils jump on top first at 7-0.
Larry, as you pointed out earlier, where you have 2 defensive teams like Gate City and Graham playing just as it was last week with Virginia High and Graham, getting 7 points on the board this early in the ball game says a lot for Gate City and could be promising for the rest of the game for the Devils.
Well, I believe you're right, Daniel. The Blue Devils also have done something here early on in the game that they did in the second half of the regular season game. You know, you hate to keep going back to that, but that's the only thing we have to compare to, where they played Graham in Game 6. They took over control of the ground game in the second half and gained about 139 or 40 yards, I believe, in the second half, plus an extra 24 or 25, but they were in minus yardage. So altogether, they had to gain about 175 yards to come out with those kind of totals in the second half the other time. So they, did a good job in Game 6 in the second half by controlling the line of scrimmage. And I wrote down 2 or 3 keys that I thought might be a key to this game, and controlling the line of scrimmage is one of them. A long, deep kick by McClellan into the end zone, and the ball will be dead, and Graham will take over at their own 20-yard line.
McClellan, one of the top kickers in Southwest Virginia, making that end zone kickoff to put the ball on the 20-yard line. What kind of asset does McClellan bring to the Blue Devils team, Larry, where you have someone that powerful with a leg?
Just by doing that, by kicking the ball into the end zone prevents a run back of any kind. And it's going to make that team start out at the 20 every time if you can do that. Graham breaks the wishbone, goes back to the per eye set. Carlock pitches to Dews. He circles up close to left guard, left tackle, and he's hit it right at the line of scrimmage by the Blue Devils and stopped for no gain. Looks like Brian Burke and Chad Beasley on the tackle that time for the Blue Devils. Brian Burke is one of those seniors, I think, that's had an extraordinary year. He's had a lot of tackles. He and Matt Johnson, if I were guessing, I'd say he and Matt Johnson may be leading the team in tackles. Graham this time breaks the wishbone again, stays in the I formation. Fake to the fullback, hand off to Dews. Gets a little crease and a little running room up across the 20 to about the 23. But Benny Wolf, Larry Jackson, and Beasley in on the tackle this time for the Blue Devils. Looks like it's going to bring up third down at about 7 as we have now 58 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Larry, Gate City's defense is dominating this ball game so far. I believe this is the furthest down the field, correct me if I'm wrong, that Graham has been.
I believe you're right, Daniel. One of the things I've noticed all year that Graham has done, Graham has only been a team that's thrown the football an average, I'd say, of 5 times. They do not put the football in the air very much. So if you can shut the running game down, you've done a pretty good job. Carlock rolls back, throws the ball over the middle. The pass is incomplete. A good lick that time by Hank Clayball as he timed it just right. And Harmon was the intended receiver. Just he got his hands on the football. Clayball hit him from behind, and he drops the pass incomplete. So the Blue Devils again have held on 3 downs. And with 29 seconds to go first quarter, Blue Devils lead 7-0.
Joe Beaver is dropping into punt formation for the G-men.
Beavers again will punt. Both play balls, Hank and Matt, are stationed close to their own 45-yard line. Beavers gets a low end-over-end punt away this time, and the clay balls will just back off and let it roll. So Graham will down the ball inside the 40 at the Blue Devil 39. This is probably the worst field position that the Blue Devils have had, and a lot of coaches would be tickled to death to start out at their own 39-yard line.
Gate City worked on Graham's defense in their last drive and through a series of first downs made the touchdown. What do you see Graham doing differently on this drive, Larry?
Well, I believe I'm going to try to check out Graham's defense. They've been in an 8-man line about the whole game, and looked like Gate City found a way to block it. Now, the Blue Devils are just going to let the clock run out here, and that's the end of the first quarter. We'd like to tell you that Gate City Blue Devil football on STE Cablevision Channel 30 is brought to you by King Ford in Gate City, where you'll find the best prices on quality Ford cars and trucks. By Roberts Tire and Recapping. Fall is a great time for new tires from Roberts, like Firestone and Michelin. By Magnolia Place, the place where you'll find the perfect Christmas gift on East Jackson Street in Gate City. By Weber City Drug Center, great prescription service also featuring UPS and fax for your convenience. By Nations Bank, with a new ATM at the Weber City office and great deals on private lines of credit throughout Scott County. And by State Line Graphics, offering the best service for your printing needs, located in Weber City. Blue Devil football is also brought to you by Willis Pharmacy, by Doc Whitley Nationwide Insurance, and by the Campus Drive-In. Thank you to all the sponsors who help bring you Blue Devil football on Channel 30. Blue Devils take over here, 1st and 10 at their own 39. Same set as before, a little inside trap this time to Matt Clayball, and he only gains about a yard this time. Tackle was made by number 15 that time of the G-men.
That's Kerry Trigg.
Kerry Trigg. He's one of the defensive ends of the Graham G-men. So the Blue Devils ran a little different play out of the same set that they used all the way down the field a while ago, except on the touchdown play. They came out of the full house backfield for the touchdown. Wing back set right. Shoemaker with a long count. Graham in a 7-man line coming on a blitz. Hank Clayball is open. The pass is complete at about the 38, and he struggles up to at about the 43, and he struggles up to the 45. So pretty good gain that time of about 3 yards on the play. And if Hank had only had his head turned just a split second center, Shoemaker had to hold up, had to really pump one time before he let the football go because Graham was coming with pretty good pressure. So it's going to be 3rd down and 5. A ball spotted on the Blue Devils on 45. They must be short of midfield at about the 49 for a first down. Pitch this time to and a fumble, but Gibson, I believe, has covered up it. Not Gibson, but Clayball has covered up his own fumble.
Even though Gate City did recover that fumble, Larry, it prevented them from getting the 4 yards they needed for the first down, and it will be Gate City punting the ball away this time and giving Graham probably the best field position they've had all ball game.
Yeah, depending on what kind of punt that McBride may get off here. They're coming with a 10-man line, and McBride takes a lot of time and almost has it blocked, but it's an end-over-end punt that rolls out of bounds on the 26-yard line of Graham. So they did improve their field position by about 6 yards down. Now, one of the things I thought coming into today's game, it might be a key for the Blue Devils was we mentioned earlier they needed to control the line of scrimmage. I thought they must complete a few passes to open up their running game, but they've been able to do that so far without completing any passes. Carlock, the quarterback, drops straight back to throw, throws the ball over the middle. The pass is almost intercepted by McBride. Pass was intended for J.C. Harmon, hit him in the hands. He dropped it, and McBride almost came up with the deflection. But just a long, incomplete pass now with the ball spotted still at the Graham 26-yard line. Be 2nd down and 10 here. Looked like Graham was going to attempt to put the ball in the air more in this game, and like we said a while ago, than they have all year. Blue Devils on a 4-man line, run a draw play to Dews. He makes a little move on the corner, breaks it across. Alabama steps out of bounds on the 37, picks up the first down for Graham. I think it's their initial first down of the ball game. Blue Devils missed a couple tackles back 5 yards before he stepped out of bounds. It would have prevented the first down, but Dews picked up a first down at the 38 of the 37 of Graham. We have 9:49 to go. Gate City leads in the game 7-0. Blue Devils again on the 4-man line. Hand off to Dews running left, and he's hit just as he gets to the 40. Struggles up to about the 41, and picks up about 4 yards on the play. Matt Johnson, Larry Jackson, Lindsey Fisher, Joel Stacy on the tackle that time.
With assistance from Larry Jackson.
Dews is a running back that has an awful lot of quickness. They've been trying to run him wide most of the time tonight, but in the last couple of running plays, they've run him straight out the line of scrimmage, going more right at the Blue Devil defense. Pitch to Dews, circling left, gets a good block on the corner by Harmon, but the Blue Devils stop him after about a 1 yard gain that time. Brian Burke, I see, is one of the tacklers, and Hank Clayball from his cornerback spot. So only a pickup of about 1 yard is going to bring up 3rd down and a short 5, long 5 it looks like this time. A little bit more than 5 yards for the first down. They must reach their own 47, and the ball spotted on the 43. Hand off to the fullback Beasley, and he's hit in the backfield, struggles up close to the 45. The tackle made that time by Lindsey Fisher. So Graham with 4th and 2 appear to be dropping back into punt formation. Beavers will be standing inside his 35 at about his 32, and Matt and Hank Clayball drop back inside their own 25 at about the 22, 23-yard line. Graham is a player short, trying to get him hustled out on the field before the punt. And we have a whistle on the play. Should be delay a game, I would think, which have cost Graham another 5 yards. That is the official signal, delay a game, which should back Graham up 5 yards and should give the Blue Devils a little bit better field position depending on the punt of Beavers. Blue Devils are running in another player here, but he changes and goes back off the field. Blue Devils with a 9-man rush. Snap to Beavers. They drop back in. Fair catch is asked for by Hank Clayball, and he lets the ball go. And it hits and rolls inside the 20 at about the 16-yard line of Gate City. So in this change of possessions, Graham has come out the best on the field position. Blue Devils will have to have a pretty good an effort here to get the ball out. Whether they score or not, if they can pick up a couple of first downs here and play the field position game and keep Graham deep in their own territory. Wing back set. Schumacher. Hand off to Gibson. He's hit behind the line of scrimmage and thrown for about a yard loss, I believe, that time. Kerry Trigg, the tackler for Graham from his defensive end position. They'll spot the ball at about the 18. Call it a half-yard gain. We'll still call it second down and 10. Scoreboard says second and 9. Blue Devils leading the contest. The Region 4 Division 3 championship game. The score right now is Gate City 7, Graham 0. Graham with their linebackers feinting a blitz. Head off on a little reverse, this time to Hank Clayball, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage by about 3 Graham defensive players and thrown for a 2-yard loss. So Graham, now that they have the Blue Devils deep in their own territory, are really coming with a lot of stunts defensively, putting a lot of pressure on, trying to cause fumbles, trying to get a turnover deep in Gate City's territory. Matt McClellan checks into the lineup for the Blue Devils. And Gate City this time will go from the full house backfield. 2 tight ends. Hand off on a little quick opener this time to Matt Clayball, and he drives up across the 15 to about the 18. Only a gain of maybe 3 on the play. It's going to make it 4th down and about 9 yards to go. So for the first time, the Blue Devils will have to punt from the shadow of their own goal line.
Larry, Gate City wants to get a good punt off here for sure, because this would be the very good field position for Graham, regardless of where the ball lands.
Yeah, McBride gets off a punt that has a pretty decent result to it. It browns across midfield, across the 45 down to the 43-yard line. Graham has come the last 2 times, Daniel, with heavy pressure on the punt block and haven't been able to get a hand on it, and it only leaves 1 man back. And McBride has punted the ball away from their receiver on punts, so the Blue Devils have been able to down every punt that he's punted so far. So Graham will take over on their own 43-yard line, trailing 7-0 to the Blue Devils. I formation, handoff to fake to the fullback, handoff to the fullback, and he drives up across the 45 to the 46. Gain of about 3 on the play. Should bring up second down and 7. Well, they're going to give him a little more than 3. We'll call it second down and 6.
Graham starting out in a similar field position as the Devils did when they had their scoring drive earlier in the first quarter. And Gate City's defense is going to have to hold on like they have been for the rest of the game here.
Yeah, I believe you're right, Daniel. It's going to be a defensive struggle all the way. Hand off to the fullback, Beasley, and boy, he gets a lick from somebody. I believe that's Benny Wolf. It spun him around. But he only picked up maybe a yard on the play and was lucky not to fumble, really, with the lick Benny Wolf gave him that time.
Benny Wolf has shown himself this season to be one of the defensive powerhouses for the Devils in many ways. As you pointed out earlier, he's one to look out for as graduating Brian Burke and others move on.
They run the option this time with Carlock pitching to Hughes, and he stumbles and falls right at the line of scrimmage. So Graham's going to be faced with a 4th down and maybe a half-yard loss on the play. We'll call it 4th down and 6 still. So the Blue Devils that time came out pretty good, really, with their defense. They held them pretty good, and then Graham kind of stumbled on this last play when they ran the option and hurt themselves. But I believe, if I recollect right, Graham has only had 1 first down the whole game. Blue Devils come with pretty good pressure, and Beavers hits a beautiful punt that Matt Clayball calls for a fair catch and catches the ball on his own 15-yard line.
Was a good punt by Beavers on that. Gate City will have the ball on their 15. As we've said throughout the contest, this is going to be a game of the defenses. And as Gate City already has 7 points on the board, as you at home have been watching this back and forth defensive maneuvering by both teams, Gate City seems to be in the best position right now.
Yeah, they have been. They've the last couple of times, though, Graham has come out ahead on the field position game. As long as the Blue Devils can keep it moving, keep it out of their own end zone, and keep it away from Graham down here deep. Hand off to the fullback through a big hole this time is Gibson up across the 25, the 30, the 35. He's hitting tackle at about the 36. That'll get you out of the shadow of your own goal line.
Good job there by Gibson as he drilled down the field.
Had a big hole on the right side that time. I would say it was caused probably by Beasley and Becker on that side, and good blocking on the right side of the lineup, and Gibson did an excellent job to get to the outside, pick up big yard.
With 3 minutes and 21 seconds remaining till halftime, Gate City's in pretty good shape to go to the locker room with a 14-0 lead. Let's see how they handle it.
Blue Devils in an unbalanced line this time. Hand off to Gibson, big hole again. Breaks the tackle, struggles up across his own 45 to about the 46. I believe Easley is the man that made the tackle that time and stopped him. Thought for a minute Gibson might be able to break that thing all the way into the clear for a touchdown. One thing I've noticed, Gibson's wearing a different number today. He's wearing number 35, where they forgot and left the number 40 jersey at home, or what the deal is. But for you people that will be watching the tape-delayed replay, it is Gibson with number 35 instead of number 40. Unbalanced line left this time. Hand off again to Gibson, and he's hit this time behind the line of scrimmage for no gain, maybe a half-yard loss. The tackle that time was by that same man, Kerry Trigg, from his right defensive end. He's made 3 or 4 tackles this time.
Graham's defense this time concentrating on Gibson as he made 2 spectacular yardage gains in the previous 2 plays. It'll be 3rd down and about 2, Larry.
It looks like 3rd down and 2. Scoreboard says 3rd down and 8, but it's only 3rd down and 2. Blue Devils in a full house backfield this time. Shoemaker on a quarterback keeper, struggles up close to. It's going to depend on the spot here as to where he gets a 1st down or not. I believe he's picked it up. It is 1st down. Blue Devils behind, look like behind the block of Matt Johnson off and Kilgore. That time straight up the middle, off the left side and up the middle.
Gate City's offense dominating the Graham G-men, and as far as 1st downs go, that makes several 1st downs already in the game for the G-men and for the Blue Devils, and the G-men only have, I think, 1 1st down in the entire game.
I believe that's right. Unbalanced line this time, strong side left. Wing back to the right side. Shoemaker rolls under a lot of pressure, has a long pass down that hits McClellan in the hands, and he wasn't able to hold on. The Graham defender had pretty good coverage that time. That's 83. That's Jeremy Farmer, I believe. And but even with that, McClellan almost came up with a catch at about the 18-yard line.
Shoemaker's option to try the passing play on that 1st down and 10 attempt was almost successful.
That was. You know, you kind of expect the Blue Devils with not a whole lot of time left here before halftime to try to get some more points on the board. Graham's defense is going to be hard to put a real long sustained drive, I would think, against. The handoff this time is to Gibson, and he breaks the tackle, gets up across midfield, across the 45 down to the Graham 44. It's going to bring up about 3rd down and 1. Gibson again almost broke one all the way. So
Gibson and the offensive line working in sync here against this Graham defense now and are wreaking havoc for the G-men.
Yeah, the Gate City's offensive line, as the Blue Devils call timeout, which I believe is their 1st timeout here. And as they call timeout, we will tell you again that it's nice to have the kind of sponsorship that we've had all year to bring you these playbacks on Channel 30 Gate City football on STE Cablevision Channel 30 is brought to you by King Ford in Gate City, where you'll find the best prices on quality cars and trucks. By Roberts Tire and Recapping. Fall's a great time for new tires from Roberts like Firestone and Michelin. By Magnolia Place, the place where you'll find the perfect Christmas gift on East Jackson Street in Gate City. By Weber City Drug Center, great prescription service, also featuring UPS and fax for your convenience. By Nations Bank with a new ATM at the Weber City office and great deals on private lines of credit throughout Scott County. And by State Line Graphics, offering the best service for your printing needs, located in Weber City. Blue Level Football is also brought to you by Willis Pharmacy, by Doc Whitley Nationwide Insurance, and by the Campus Drive-In. Thanks to you, all the sponsors who helped bring you Blue Devil Football on Channel 30. Blue Devils now with a 3rd down and a long one. We'll call it 2 on their own 40, on Graham's 44. Put Hank Clayball in motion, handoff this time, run the option. Pitch outside to Hank Clayball, has a blocker in front of him. He struggles out of bounds inside the Graham 30, closer to the 25 at the 26. Shoemaker did an excellent job that time on ball fakes and even faked me off that time, Dan.
As it did me, also running the second camera here today. I was following the wrong person. Good fake there. I've been impressed all season with the clay balls and their running ability there as it comes through in that play. And it gives Gate City an option of scoring again with only 50 seconds remaining in the first half.
It sure does. Blue Devils with the ball on the Graham's 26, we'll call it. Put Hank Clayball in motion, handoff to Gibson. He breaks outside up across the 15, spins down close to about the 12-yard line, 13 maybe. So the Blue Devils mixing it up a little offensively here with a couple different sets. At the 1st down, ball will be spotted, looks like at the, we'll call it the 13. Blue Devils would be able to pick up a 1st down inside the 3, about halfway between the 3 and the 2. One back set this time with Gibson in the backfield. Play ball in motion left. Handoff this time to Gibson, breaks across left end. And we have a flag by the referee in the backfield, which usually indicates illegal motion, I believe. And that's what the call is, illegal motion. The man that was in motion may have turned toward the line of scrimmage just to count too quick. So with 30 seconds to go, Graham has an option here of taking the play, which was inside the 10 at about the 7, or taking a 5-yard loss, which I'm sure they're going to do. The official signal is illegal motion. Blue Devils, which will move the ball back inside the 15 at about the 17-yard line. We'll make it 1st and 15. Blue Devils with only 30 seconds to go before halftime, but I believe they have 2 timeouts remaining. Now, somebody is taking a timeout here. I believe it may be Graham as Coach Carlock has come onto the field. Coach Collarbro is also out there. The Blue Devils may have been the one that took the timeout.
I think it was the Blue Devils. Larry, Coach Collarbro came out early before Coach Carlock did.
Yeah, my camera person on my right here said it was the Blue Devils. Gwen also told me a while ago, you know, that she had the wrong, I mean, she had the right person on that play a while ago. She followed the right one. So the replay will be right. That's what counts. If they just turn the volume down and watch the pictures.
Larry, not a large turnout here tonight, actually, or this afternoon rather, from Gate City. Of course, you can't really tell much because the facility here at Mitchell Stadium quite large, but the visiting stands across the way over there not too filled up.
Well, it is. If we had them all together bunched up at Gate City, it might be a pretty good crowd. But like you said, this is a big stadium. 1st and 15. Graham with an 8-man line. Blue Devils run a little fake that time. Shoemaker stops, throws the ball low, incomplete. Pass was intended for Hank Clayball at about the 10, but the pass was underthrown. Graham was coming that time with good pressure from one of their linebackers or their defensive end, I believe. And Shoemaker almost went to a knee and took another loss in the backfield. Blue Devils look a little bit unsure on the play call. Andy Smith is in at tight end. 2 tight end offense, full house backfield. Shoemaker long count, fake to the fullback, screen. Shoemaker under a lot of pressure, has Hank Clayball open on the right, gets a good block, breaks it inside the 20, inside the 15, down to about inside the 20 down to about the 16. We have a flag at the 20, which probably means there's a chance that the Blue Devils have clipped on this play. And that is the official call. Clipping on Gate City. So at one time, Gate City had the ball on the 12-yard line, first and 10. And had an opportunity, even if they couldn't put the ball in the end zone, maybe to get a field goal. They had to tack a field goal onto the score. Now, after a couple of running plays and a pass play that didn't go too well and a clip, they now have the ball at their own 35 with only 14 seconds to go. So this has been a big turn of events for Graham. It's prevented, unless we score on this play, it's prevented another score added on. Blue Devils seem to have some confusion, some timeout. They're just going to let the clock run away, it looks like. 2, 1, and that's the end of the first half. So at the end of one half, Gate City leads Graham 7-0, and we'll take a little break here and come back in about 5 minutes. Graham had 1. Gate City rushed the ball 23 times for 104 yards. Graham rushed the ball 13 times for 21 yards. Gate City attempted 4 passes, completed 2. No interceptions for only 7 yards passing. Graham attempted 4 passes, completed 1 with no interceptions for only 4 yards passing. Total offense in the first half, Gate City 111 yards, Graham 25. Punts, Gate City punted the ball 3 times for 36 yards. Graham punted the ball 5 times for a 40-yard average. Fumbles, Gate City had 1 fumble but recovered it. Graham had no fumbles in the first half. Penalties, Gate City had 2 penalties for 20 yards. Graham had 2 penalties for 10 yards. Turnovers, Gate City had 0 turnovers and Graham had 0 turnovers. So the things in the first half have gone pretty much the way, statistic-wise, the way the score's gone. Gate City leads statistic-wise and also leads on the scoreboard 7-0. Neither team has had a turnover in the first half. Gate City with a pretty good chance with less than a minute to go to put some more points on the board right before halftime, but due to a couple of penalties and a couple of plays that didn't go all that well, ended up by just running the clock out after a 15-yard penalty for clipping on their own 35-yard line. We're happy again to be here to bring this game to you. And this game will be broadcast tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So the tape delay broadcast will be tomorrow, Sunday at 3 o'clock. If you want to tune in, by all means tune in. Just turn the audio down and watch the pictures. So Blue Devils now have come back onto the field, as has Graham, and Graham's already lined up to receive, to kick off. The Blue Devils should receive the kickoff at the start of the second half. Well, Daniel, your summation of the first half.
Larry, I believe it was a game of the defenses last half, and Gate City seemed to win during the first half. They picked up the 1 touchdown and extra point there against Graham to give them the lead. This half is going to have to be even more tighter. Gate City doesn't have much of a margin of error. They're going to have to hold on to their defense and use the same offensive skill to capitalize on Graham.
Here's the kickoff, and the Blue Devils with Houser will pick it up at the 25. He gets up across the 30, fumbles the football, and it looks like Graham may have recovered. So the first turnover that the Blue Devils present for today's game, they turn the ball over on the opening kickoff at their own 31-yard line. So we had a player or two there that's not used to bringing the ball back on the kickoff and trying to struggle to get more yardage. And somebody stripped the ball away from him at Graham. So Graham takes over on the Blue Devils' 31-yard line. Wishbone set. Handoff this time to Hughes. He circles left in. And Hank Clayball comes up and makes a fine ankle tackle after a pickup of Looks like about 3 yards on the play.
These next few plays are really going to be a test of the Gate City defense here with Graham that deep into Gate City's own territory. Bad mistake to take place in the very bad turn of luck, I guess, take place in the very first of this second half. Gate City, as I said, is going to have to work really hard defensively here to hold this Graham offense.
Yeah, it's a big momentum changer. You instead of starting out the ball with the second half in a lead, you end up turning it over in your own territory. Carlock runs the option, pitches to Hughes. He breaks a tackle in the backfield, but he's hit, thrown for a loss at about the 34-yard line. Good play that time by Johnson. Burke, it looks like, came up along with Benny Wolf and threw Hughes in the backfield as the G-men tried to run an option left that time. So that brings up third down and about 12 yards to go. Blue Devil defense so far has stiffened their backs and actually caused Graham to lose a couple yards from the original line of scrimmage. A little motion out of the wishbone. Fake to the fullback. Carlock throws the ball down the middle. Blue Devils do a good job of breaking the pass up, but there's 2 flags on the play, and it looks like Matt Clayball is going to be called for pass interference, which will give Graham a first down after the 15-yard penalty. Looked like a pretty good defensive play from our standpoint up here. Looked like Clayball went after the football to try to deflect it. Pass was intended that time for Farmer, I believe, Harmon, J.C. Harmon. He's the only man I believe they've thrown the football to all day long. So Graham gets another break on 3rd and 12 and an incomplete pass. They pick up a first down on a pass interference call. And the Blue Devils are kind of shooting their own self in the foot here, considering the fumble and the pass interference call. Ball spotted at the 18-yard line of Gate City after the penalty. Carlock runs the option left. He's hit behind the line of scrimmage and thrown for a loss by Matt Johnson. Lindsey Fisher also in to assist on the tackle.
You leave the Devils' defensive line to do the job, and they seem to get it done when it comes in and is necessary. Again, they're throwing for a loss of about 3 yards.
Yeah, the Devils, I think their defense, I thought their offensive front did a pretty good job of controlling the line of scrimmage, and their defensive front really so far has done a real good job of controlling the line of scrimmage. They break your bone this time with split back out wide right. Carlock drops back, gets pressure from Burke, and he's hit and sacked by Brian Burke deep behind the 25 at about the 27-yard line.
Great job by Burke coming around. Quarterback couldn't get the ball off at all before Burke took him out.
And a good job by the defensive backs of the Blue Devils. That's kind of what you might call a coverage sack. They had all the receivers blanketed downfield, and Carlock had to look around, try to find an open man. By that time, Burke's speed had gotten to him and throws him for a big loss. So it brings up 3rd down and 20 with the ball spotted on the Blue Devil 27. Carlock back, has a middle screen. Pass is complete to Hughes. He breaks one tackle, but not the other tackle. And that may not be Hughes this time, maybe the other Hughes, number 2. No, it's Michael Bucci, 5'9", 163 fullback senior. So a middle screen that time by the Graham G-man that gives them no yardage at all, maybe 1 yard on the pickup. Brings that 4th down and 21. Ball spotted at the 29-yard line, and Graham calls timeout.
Larry, Gate City's made a couple of bobbles here so far this half, but they've done a fantastic job compensating for those by coming up with some spectacular plays in their own rights. And as we say here, it's a 4th down, 21-yard to go situation for Graham.
Maybe the biggest play of the ball game early here. If the Blue Devils defense can hold on 4th and 21 and take the ball back over after giving up a turnover deep in their own territory and not letting Graham get anything from it, could be a real momentum boost for the Blue Devils and a real downer for the Graham G-men. Even though these two teams are well coached by 2 of the most prominent coaches in this area, they're not going to let teams get down. Talked to Coach Collabro yesterday, and he said on the sideline last week, even with the Blue Devils down 12-0, they kind of felt like that the momentum had changed and the kids still had the desire to come back, and then eventually did come back and win the ball game 13-12. Carlock, the quarterback, and new fullback. We said Bucci is the fullback. Hughes, the tailback. Carlock drops straight back, gets good pressure, throws the ball deep down the field. It's incomplete. I believe his arm was hit that time by Lindsey Fisher as he threw, where he tried to hold on to the football. The Devils had a chance for an interception, but why intercept it when you can get the ball 7 yards back upfield on 4th down?
Good point.
So a big play that time by the Devil defense. They had to overcome a fumble deep in their own territory plus a penalty against them deep in their own territory. They'll take over on downs at their own 29-yard line. Run and shoot set with Gibson at the fullback. Hank Clayball in motion right. Gibson breaks it over right in. Breaks up to the 35 to the 37-yard line. Good gain that time of about 7-8 yards on the play. Should bring up about 2nd down and 3 maybe.
Kevin Gibson isn't going to be a name this Graham team forgets for a while. He's been dominating their defensive line here this entire ball game with the help of Gate City's offensive line as well.
And Gibson has shared much of the running duties all day. The Clayballs have run a couple of plays, but Gibson has been the workhorse out of the backfield. Unbalanced line left for Gate City. Handoff again to Gibson up across the 40, fumbled the football, but the Blue Devils have recovered. Matt Clayball, I believe, on the recovery that time for the Blue Devils. Devils have picked up a 1st down, even though the ball was fumbled. We still come up with a 1st down. That's a couple of fumbles that Gibson's had today in today's game. He recovered his own fumble once. Matt Clayball recovered this fumble here, so may have to start holding on to the football with 2 hands. We got 7:18 to go, 3rd quarter. Gate City leads 7-0. 1st and 10 from their own 42-yard line. Unbalanced line left. Shoemaker, handoff, Gibson again, circles left in, dives across the 45 up to about the 47. Good gain on the play. Pickup of close to 5 yards this time, looks like. Maybe a little more. We'll call it pickup of, well, I'll call it 5. Scoreboard calls it 4, but it looks like the markers equal distance between the 2 yard markers on the other side. So we'll call it 2nd down and 5. Blue Devils this time with a full house backfield. Different formation. 2 tight ends. Shoemaker, handoff. Matt Clayball, I believe, this time out of the right tackle spot. Right halfback spot on a quick opener. Up across midfield to the 49. It's going to be about 2 yards short of a 1st down. We'll bring up 3rd down, and the scoreboard says 1. It's going to be a long one here. 6 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Gate City leads the Graham G-Men 7-0 in the Region 4 Division 3 championship game. Full house backfield again. Shoemaker on these plays before is kept. Handoff this time to Hank Clayball, and he struggles. It's going to be close depending on the spot. Looks like he might be about a half yard short. So could be gambling time here for the coaches. Going to be short, I would think. I would think they're going to ask for a measurement, and the referee has called timeout and waved the sticks in to measure and see how much the Blue Devils like. Blue Devils able to go for a 4th down play here.
Ooh,
and it only likes, I would say, 2 inches, 3 inches at the most. So big gamble here by the Gate City coaching staff. If I'm betting, I say they probably go for it. You have a lead. If you pick up a 1st down, you're able to run out the clock. Never did like to try to coach one of these games, but you know, it's not that big a gamble, I don't think, here, with the defense playing as well as it has played so far. Shoemaker on these short yardage plays for 1st down has kept it on the keeper 2 or 3 times already. If they can get penetration off the center, Shoemaker with that long frame ought to be able to get it. It's going to be close, but it looks like the official moved his left foot up about 3 inches, and that's all the Blue Devils needed, I believe. Depends on which one of these guys does the spotting. It looked like he moved the football back, so the Gate City sidelines don't seem too awful happy about the spot that they got. But now they did move it over to the official that moved his foot up. He was the guy that marked the ball first, and I believe he's got a first down by half the length of the football. We're not cutting the officials down. It's just that they're capable of making mistakes like I do. First down by 1 football and a half in length, I would say. About a half of a yard.
Had plenty to spare, huh, Larry?
Plenty to spare. Well, I thought he got a good spot from his side. You take a 6'3" frame like him, if you can get the ball out across with any penetration at all, it's going to be easy to make 3 inches. Back to the double wing set this time. Hank Clayball goes in motion right. Shoemaker takes the handoff, gives it to Gibson, breaks across right guard, right tackle up close to the 40-yard line. To pick up of about 7 on the play. Blue Devils keep the clock running and also keep the ball moving downfield. 2nd down and 3. Gain that time of 7 by Kevin Gibson. He's carried the brunt of the running back workload all day long and done a pretty good job. The only flaws he might have had been a couple of fumbles, and the Blue Devils have been able to recover those. Run and shoot formation with Gibson, the only back in the backfield. Matt Clayball goes in motion this time. Hand off again to Gibson. Struggles up across the 40. Going to be short of the first down by about 2 yards, looks like. But one thing Kevin Gibson had that time, he had both arms wrapped around the football. So it's going to bring up 3rd down and about 2. The ball is going to be spotted with the nose touching the Graham G-Man 40-yard line. Wes Ford checks into the lineup at tight end for the Blue Devils. Blue Devils with Becker, Oaks, unbalanced line right this time. Shoemaker, handoff Gibson, fake Gibson option, and Graham had it read perfectly. Matter of fact, Hank Clayball was lucky to hold on to the football. Graham had read that play, had 3 men out in defense, and as Shoemaker optioned the ball to Hank Clayball, he got hit by 3 Graham defensive linemen, so he was really lucky to hold on to the football. So that puts the Blue Devils in punt formation. They, even though they haven't picked up any extra scores here, they've run off maybe a good 4 minutes off the clock. A low line drive punt that's fielded by Hughes at the 18. He breaks 1 tackle, breaks 2 tackles, struggles across the 20 to about the 21.
Crosses the 20-yard line before being dragged down.
So Graham's going to take over, looks like, we'll call it their own 21-yard line. Blue Devils, I think, that time have made, and maybe are now, making a couple of substitutions here to give a couple of players. Saw Matt Johnson go out to be able to get a little rest here before the start of the 4th quarter. Andy Smith is checked in at the middle linebacker spot. Fake to the first man out of the wishbone. Hughes breaks it outside. Here comes the speed, and Hank Clayball, Matt Clayball is the only man to bring him down. A pickup that time of more than enough for a first down. Up to the 34-yard line, a pickup of about 13 on the play. Gives Graham a first down and 10 at their own 34.
As we mentioned before, Larry, this 7-point lead by the Blue Devils isn't much of a margin of error considering the speed of this Graham offense. If they can bust through Gate City's line, then they may run all the way down for a touchdown.
Full house backfield, again by Graham. Fake to the fullback, hand off to the second man through, Hughes, and he breaks tackle after tackle. Struggles across the 40 to the 43. Blue Devils had him, Andy Smith had him in the backfield, but he broke through that tackle. McBride had to come up to make the stop from his safety position, so Graham has a good head of steam moving. Gain of 8 on the play, makes it 2nd down and 2. Ball spotted at the Blue Devil 43-yard line.
Really, for the first time this game, Graham has Gate City's defense in disarray.
Now, the Blue Devils are resting a couple of linebackers here and have a couple of new people in. Blue Devils with a short formation defensively and trying to shut the first down. Handoff, I think that time was to the fullback, and the Blue Devils plugged up the hole. Handoff was to Easley. He gained about a yard. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 1. Jake Housewright on the tackle for the Blue Devils. Graham sends a couple of new people into the lineup. Looks like number 15 that time. It's Kerry Trigg in on defense, and number 17 is Corey Latimer. Latimer is at the right halfback spot. Out the wishbone. Hand off to Hughes. He's hit at the line of scrimmage, breaks across the 45 up to about the 47, and looks like he has more than enough yardage for first down. So Graham has a pretty good drive, their best drive going so far. They've put together either 2 or 3 consecutive first downs here, and they only had 1 in the first half. So they've had more first downs on this drive than they had in the first half of the football game. Going strictly now from a wishbone. Little misdirection to Hughes, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage by Brian Burke and fumbled the football really, but looked like the official says it's down. Benny Wolf was also in on the tackle that time.
Big loss. Looks like about 5-6 yards on that.
Yeah, the Blue Devils did a good job that time. I think Joel Stacy's the man that rode that thing outside and let the linebacker come up and make the tackle along with Burke from his tackle spot.
Here's where we see Gate City coming back to compensate for some previous disappointments as far as their playing goes. And here we see them again capitalizing against the G-men.
Down to 10 seconds to go in the third quarter. Wishbone set again. Carlock fakes the 2 backs, throws the ball up over the middle. It's too long, and Matt Clayball makes an interception. Across the 40 to the 45, and out of bounds at the Blue Devil 47-yard line.
That couldn't have come at a better time, Larry. Gate City, as you pointed out, or Graham, as you pointed out, on their most successful running drive this ball game. And Clayball just snatched that ball right out of their hands, and it looks like Gate City now will have another opportunity to have the ball on offense.
You know, I did a little stats on my own here of the unofficial stats. As we come to the end of the fourth quarter, we'll talk to you about that in just a few minutes. We'd like now to tell you that Gate City Blue Devil football on STE Cablevision Channel 30 is brought to you by Magnolia Place, the place where you'll find the perfect Christmas gift on East Jackson Street in Gate City. By Weber City Drug Center, great prescription service, also featuring UPS and fax for your convenience. By Nations Bank, with a new ATM at the Weber City office and great deals on private lines of credit throughout Scott County. By State Line Graphics, offering the best service for your printing needs, located in Weber City. By King Ford in Gate City, where you'll find the best prices on quality Ford cars and trucks. And by Roberts Tire and Recapping. Fall is a great time for new tires from Roberts Tire, like Firestone and Mitchell. Blue Devil football is also brought to you by Doc Whitley Nationwide Insurance, by the Campus Drive-In, and by Willis Pharmacy. Thank you to all the supporters who help you bring the Blue Devil football to Channel 30. I did a little thing here a week or so ago at the end of the regular season, and the Blue Devils, I believe, had come up with, I think it's 11 interceptions this year so far, and Matt Clayball has a bunch of those. Handoff on a quick opener to Gibson. He drives up across midfield just into Graham territory at, we'll call it the Graham 49. Easily on the tackle that time for Graham.
Larry, that 7-point lead that the Devils got way back in the first quarter has held through all the way up in here until the last quarter of the ball game. And with Gate City on another offensive drive now, things looking a little bit better as far as odds go for the Devils.
You're right. Hank Clayball goes in motion left. Shoemaker takes the handoff to Gibson, and he breaks across the 47 up close to the 45. We'll call it the 46-yard line. Clock a gain of about 3 on the play. It's going to bring up third down and about 3 with 11:10 to go in the fourth quarter, and Blue Devils lead in the Region 4 Division 3 championship game 7-0. Be nice to tack on a few more points here with an extended ground control drive that would eat up about another 4 or 5 minutes and possibly put this thing out of reach. Blue Devils 3rd and 3. Ball at Graham's 46. Handoff to Gibson. Breaks over left end into Graham territory, deep into Graham territory across the 40, down close to the 35. More than enough yardage for first down. Ball will be spotted on right on the 35-yard line of Graham.
Great job there by Gibson, as he has done all evening, carrying the bulk of the driving by the Devils, that time picking up a first down and then some, and bringing the Devils within about 35 yards of the goal line.
And some good blocking that time on the left side of the offensive line. Probably Oaks and maybe Andy Smith that time in at the tight end spot. Hank Clayball goes in motion left. Handoff again to Gibson. Struggles up across the 30, close to the 29. A pickup of about a little over 5 maybe on the play. And Blue Devils have gone mostly in this second half with an unbalanced line. It's given them a little more blocking on one side, and they've been going with the strong side most of the time since they've gone to the unbalanced line. Gibson, again, we said, has been the workhorse, and looked like a Devils this time in an unbalanced line. Strong right. Hank Clayball in motion again left. Handoff on a quick opener to Gibson. He breaks inside the 20. Down to about the 19. Was only one step away from going all the way for a touchdown. Tackle made that time by number 66, I believe, of Graham. That is David Bailey from his linebacker spot. He's the only man that saved Gibson from picking up a touchdown, I believe.
A similar running drive as the first quarter drive that brought Gate City its first 6 points of the ball game. Here again, Gate City one first down after the other, this time due to the hands of Kevin Gibson.
Full house backfield this time. 2 tight ends, Shoemaker the quarterback. Long count, handoff on a quick opener to Hank Clayball, and he struggles for maybe a yard and a half, 2-yard gain on the play. Inside the 20 at about, we'll call it the 17 maybe. But as long as the Blue Devils control the football, the clock keeps running. They have the lead. If they were just able to put some more points on the scoreboard, it might salt this thing away. The Blue Devil defense, again, today has played exceptionally well. They've had a couple of things they've had to rebound from and done an excellent job. Full house backfield again. Graham comes with a blitz. Gibson breaks one tackle at the line of scrimmage, struggles down close to the 10. It's going to be about 2 yards short of a first down, I believe. It's going to be 3rd down and a little more than 2. We'll call it 3rd down and 3. It's really a long 2, looks like about 2.5 yards to go.
KC's in good shape now. They're down in at least field goal range, even if something does go wrong, and even 3 more points on the board could be all that's needed to cap the victory.
New backfield in there this time for the Blue Devils. Hand off to Hank Clayball, struggles across the left end, picks up a first down close to about the 6. Had Hank Clayball that time lined up in the fullback spot. Had, I believe, House right in and Lindsey Fisher in at the other 2 backfield spots. So looks like it's going to be 1st and goal. We have a official's timeout for some equipment repair to Dews, I believe, Jacob Dews. And Blue Devils have it 1st and goal on the 6-yard line of Graham with 7:57 to go. Again, we have Housewright, Jake Housewright, and Lindsey Fisher in at the left and right halfback spots, and Hank Clayball in at the fullback spot. Shoemaker, handoff. Hank Clayball, quick opener. He gets hit right at the line of scrimmage, maybe no gain at all. Maybe a pickup of a half yard on the play. Here comes Gibson back in now to coach took him out and gave him a little break, let him gather his wind down, and the Hank Clayball comes back out goes out to get him a little rest here. He hadn't been out, I don't believe, the whole game. Gibson's back in at the fullback spot. Fisher and Housewright are still in at the left and right halfback spot. Shoemaker, handoff Gibson, struggles across the 5, down close to the goal line at about the 2-yard line. So Blue Devils are going to have it 3rd down and 2. It looks like 3rd down and goal at the 2-yard line. Opportunity here on 2 running plays to put the ball in the end zone. 2 plays and pick up 2 yards and put you up 14-0 if you convert the extra point. Fisher to the left halfback, Housewright to right halfback. Gibson at the fullback spot. Graham bunches their linebackers up close. They come on a blitz. Gibson only picks up maybe a half a yard. So decision time now for the Blue Devil coaching staff. It's 4th down and about 1. The ball spotted at about the 1-yard line.
This is where you have to weigh whether or not 3 points or 7 points is what you need to cap what could become a victory this afternoon for the Blue Devils. Don't forget what Gate City did to Tazewell last week, though, as they came back. Looks like they're going for it, Larry.
Yeah, the Blue Devils are going to go for it. 4th down and goal at the 1-yard line. Handoff. Gibson, and he stopped short. So the Blue Devils are unable to tack on some extra points there by the route of a field goal. Go for the touchdown, and they're going to put the onus on the back of their defense now by having Graham at their own 1-foot line with 99 and 2/3 yards to go. How do you like that math, Wayne?
With about half of the 4th quarter expired, Gate City has at least got some good field position here against Graham. Their defense has been working hard. They should be able to hold them back, hopefully, for this next 6 minutes, maybe capitalize on some mistakes.
Graham out of the power eye. Handoff to the tailback that time is Dews, and he broke a tackle or two, gets up close to the 5-yard line. So Dews is the man in the backfield that has enough speed that could go coast to coast on the Blue Devils here. He's one of the men that had a long run for a touchdown last year against the Blue Devils at Gate City that knocked them out of the regional championship. Pickup of, they say 2 on the play. Looks like closer to 3. 2nd down and about 7. Ball spotted on the 3-yard line. Fake to the fullback, hand off to Dews, and we got a safety, I believe, if officials call it. They do call it. A big tackle that time by maybe Hank Clayball and Larry Jackson. They stopped him in his own end zone, and the Blue Devils pick up a safety.
And like that, the score now 9-0 with 4:53 remaining in the ball game.
That makes that other team have to have 2 drives and 2 scores to catch you with only 4:53 to go. That's kind of the reason I thought Coach Colbro might go for the field goal down here a while ago. It makes you have to score twice to catch it. But he also had a lot of faith in his defense, and so his defense scored for him. And the Blue Devils look to be in real good shape here. They're not only picked up 2 points on the safety, but should get the football here on a free kick and should be Gate City football. I wish I'd kept my eyes on that thing real good. I know Jackson was involved, and I believe Hank Clayball were the 2 people. I'd like to know the guy that hit him first on that play for the safety, but Jackson's real quick, and I believe it may have been Jackson with the aid of Hank Clayball, because Jackson's a real quick young man, about 170-pounder at tackle, and that's I believe he used his quickness that time to shoot through the gap and throw Dews in the end zone for a safety. Blue Devils should come out of this with pretty good field position, as the ball has to be put in play without the use of a tee. A punt, straight up in the air punt. This is a free ball, and it is the Blue Devils asked for a fair catch on about the 47 and make the reception. The fair catch is asked for by Jason Carrico, number 34, on the kickoff team that time, and showed that the young man that hadn't had a whole lot of playing time used his head. He asked for a fair catch, made the catch, and gave Gate City good field position on the 48-yard line of their own 48. So it looks like sports fans, we're not counting our chickens, but we may be going up a road south of Lynchburg next Saturday. Handoff this time to Gibson across left end on a little slant that picks up about 3 yards. The clock continues to turn with 4 minutes, 43 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. The Blue Devils lead the Graham G-Men 9-0. Kevin Gibson has earned his ride back home today. He's been the primary ball carrier for the Blue Devils from his fullback spot. Along with Hank and Matt Clayball have also had some carries, but Gibson has been the primary carrier all day long. Run and shoot formation with Hank Clayball in motion. Handoff to Gibson, circles left in, breaks tackle after tackle, struggles up close to the 38-yard line, going to be awful close to a first down for the Blue Devils. Tackle made that time by looks like maybe 15 for the Graham G-men. That's Kerry Trigg. He's made a bunch of tackles all day long for the Graham G-men. We have one of those yellow balloons, 1st and 10 Blue Devils. So that will ensure that the Blue Devils have 4 more downs to run the clock as long as they can hold on to the football. Ball spotted at the G-men 42-yard line. Clock has been wound. We're inside 4 minutes before the Devils ever take a snap. Full house backfield this time, with Gibson at the fullback spot, Matt Clayball to right, Hank Clayball to left halfback spot. Long count, Shoemaker. Handoff, Matt Clayball on a little quick opener. Struggles up across the 40 down. Well, they're going to spot it right on the 40-yard line. Gain of maybe 1.5 yards, close to 2 yards on the play. Call it 2nd down and 8. Blue Devils have used a ground control offense all day long to keep the ball away from Graham. Haven't thrown the ball maybe but 4 or 5 times the whole game, and I don't believe we've thrown the ball a time in the second half. I think we've kept the ball on the ground the whole second half. Full house backfield again. Quick opener this time to Hank Clayball. He struggles across the 35 down to the 34-yard line of the Graham G-men. Clock is inside 3 minutes, and before the Blue Devils take another snap, we ought to be down close to 2 minutes and a half. We've got 3rd down and about 3 yards to go.
How many timeouts does Graham have left, Larry? Do you have any idea?
I don't believe Graham or Gate City, either one, is taking a timeout in this half.
Okay.
Blue Devils again. 3rd down and 3. Full house backfield. Graham comes with their linebackers, handoff to Matt Clayball, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage and thrown for a loss. Tackle that time was made by number 22 for the Graham G-man. That's J.C. Harmon. And Graham has called timeout here, so they've used up at least one of their 3 allotted timeouts in the second half. Blue Devils going to have it 4th down and close to 4 yards to go, with the ball spotted on right at the Graham 35-yard line. One more first down here if you're able to pick it up, and Graham probably never has a chance to get the football. But this is 4th down. Blue Devils will probably run a play and don't really care whether they turn it over on downs or not. With 2 minutes, 13 seconds to go, Graham would have to score twice to overcome the 9-point lead that the Blue Devils have. This team that the Blue Devils have a chance of facing next week must be a real powerful team. We noticed that William Campbell defeated Bassett, and when you get up in that area, that's real good football most of the time, and they shut Bassett out last night 30-0. So the Blue Devils, if they hold on and win here, will face William Campbell next week. Blue Devils will punt. Good choice. Ball goes out of bounds at about, they're going to spot it at the 12-yard line. Just inside the 12, we'll call it the 13-yard line of Graham. So Graham must drive 87 yards and with 2 minutes and 8 seconds to go, and then be able to score again to overcome the 9-point lead that the Blue Devils have.
Devils are in good shape at this point in the game, Larry. Looks more and more like we will be traveling up into the state of Virginia next week.
Kind of believe we will, sports fan. Blue Devils jump a little quick, I believe, that time. Pass is out intended for Farmer, I believe, number 83. Yeah, the pass was intended for the tight end Farmer, and the pass was just off the fingertips, led him a little bit too much. So 2nd down and 10. Carlock is, Glenn Carlock Jr. has thrown probably 7, 8 passes today, probably more than they've thrown in the last 4 or 5 games that they've had. But this Blue Devil defense, I don't know what you can say enough for the defense, not only today but all year long. They've had a couple games early where they struggled with Lebanon, with Powell Valley. Thomas Jones, one of the better players in this area. Carlock with a pass that is complete to Hughes, and he's hit, knocked off balance, and finally knocked out of bounds by Matt Johnson at the 18-yard line, it looks like. Short of a first down by about 4 yards. Going to be 3rd down and 5 with 1:56 to go.
That initial hit, I believe, by Clayball. Was that Clayball made the initial hit that knocked him back? That was
Hank.
That was instrumental in making that defensive stop.
Yeah, I believe it was Hank Clayball that came up and hit him first, knocked him off balance. He staggered back 3 or 4 yards before Matt Johnson knocked him out of the band. Carlock rolls back, rolls to his left, throws a pass intended for Farmer, makes the catch, and struggles across the 25 to the 27. That's enough for a first down for Graham, but the clock is only 1:48 to go, and the Blue Devils still in pretty good shape because of the field position of Graham. They have it on their own 26-yard line, 1st and 10. Have 3 wideouts split left this time, and looked like one of them was in motion. Now the officials throw the pass. Pass is out to the left on a little down and out that time attempted for Harmon. That was incomplete, but one of those 3 wideouts they had started to count too early, and should be a 5-yard penalty here, a motion penalty coming to the Graham G-man. We'll wait for the official signal as Coach Billy Housewright is about 15 yards out on the field giving his instructions to his defense. Coach Housewright, I notice, has his shorts on over there, and I think it's kind of cool up here. It has been a cloudy day, overcast day that when we first got here and the clouds broke away and we've had some sunshine. Now it looks like it's about to cloud back up again. The Gate City team has asked for a timeout, so Coach Housewright can come in and give his defensive charges a little vitamin or 2 here to get them through this last 1 minute 37 seconds of the ball game. At the conclusion of today's game, there will be a presentation of the Region 4 Division 3 Championship trophy. Right now, it looks like that trophy may very well be headed back to Gate City for another year. Over the past 12 years that Coach Colabro has been here, the Blue Devils have faced Graham many times in the regional championship game. I talked to him yesterday. He wasn't really sure of the number of times they'd faced, but it seemed that it was either Graham or Radford every year in the Region 4 championship when the Blue Devils were in it. And of course Radford now has dropped back to single A classification, and it won't be them anymore unless we reclassify, which is very possible in the year 1996, and who knows where the Blue Devils will fall when that reclassification is done then. Graham has trips left again, 3 wideouts. Carlock on a little reverse, handoff to Hughes, and he's hit by Lindsey Fisher, who done a good job of staying home. Only a gain on the play, maybe a yard. Still going to be 2nd down and 25 here. Well, the scoreboard says 13. We'll call it 2nd down and 13. Same formation. Looked like a little motion early again that time. Pass this time is complete. And the catch is made by Farmer, and he steps out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. Jeremy Farmer on the reception, 6'2", 170-pound senior. Tight end for the Graham G-man. 1:04 to go, 4th quarter. The Blue Devils lead 9-0. Ball is spotted at the 40-yard line. Carlock, the quarterback. Same formation. 3 wideouts to the left. Carlock rolls. Pass is overthrown. Now it looked like Farmer might have slipped a little bit that time. He was one of the intended receivers. And the pass was over his head and out of bounds. The only other man that was close to him was Harmon, J.C. Harmon. So that brings up 2nd and 10. We've got 1 minute, 1 second to go. The ball spotted at the 40-yard line. Same passing formation. Trips left. They've flooded this side here. Pass is complete to J.C. Harmon, but his knee hit the ground, I believe, and the official calls it dead right at that point. Only a gain of maybe a yard on the play. Going to bring out 3rd down and 9. Graham going from a quick huddle here, no huddle. Carlock rolls back to his left, throws the ball out into the flat intended for Hughes, and he drops the football. Pressure that time by Beasley and Wolf from our linebacker spots, along with Joel Stacy.
Graham sees the clock ticking down, calls a timeout.
Well, that's probably Graham's 2nd timeout. Coach Jeff Jones just stuck his head in the door and said, "We'll see you next week in south of Lynchburg," I guess is what he said.
Looks like the victory is all but official at this point.
Well, Gwen's got a lot of running, a lot of things to do this week, a lot of reservations to make, you know. But without a doubt, she's handled it well all year, and there's not a doubt in my mind she can't take care of it for another week. Blue Devils well on their way to, I'd like to have some real good stats on this thing. PJ's always the guy that does the history on it, but I'd like to know the number of Region 4 championships that the Blue Devils have won since we've been into the new state playoff format. The Blue Devils have captured this championship trophy a few times. Once up here, like we said in the pregame in 1992, I know for a fact, and I believe maybe one time earlier at Radford we may have won, but and maybe a couple times at home. But it's hard to win this on the road. The clock has malfunctioned a little bit, and I think the Gate City Blue Devil fans thought the game was over, but they're counting the clock down now to try to get the correct setting. It's going to be 4th down and 8, and we'll see what before they stop the clock here. Like it's going to count on down close to about 37 seconds to go in the ball game. 4th down and 8 as Graham approaches the line of scrimmage. The Blue Devils in a prevent type situation with their linebackers deep. Carlock rolls out to his right, throws a deep pass over the middle. That is intercepted Hank Clayball. So each of the Clayballs have an interception today. Hank came up with one, Matt came up with one, and the Blue Devils have taken advantage of turnovers, good ground game, and excellent defense to win the Region 4 championship.
The final nail in Graham's coffin here was that interception by Mr. Clayball.
Yes, you know, that's another one of those deals that if you bat it away from you, you're going to take it over a whole lot deeper, but it's always nice to get those interceptions, and Matt had one, so Hank thought he'd just catch one too. So the Blue Devils, all they'll have to do is kneel on the football here for one time, and the Region 4 championship will belong to the Gate City High School Blue Devils for the year 1994. Shoemaker kneels. The clock is down to 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Region 4, District 3 champions, the Gate City High School Blue Devils, the 1994 champions. And you can credit this victory to Kevin Gibson, the offensive line of the Blue Devils that handled Graham's defensive line well, and the super defense of Coach Bill Housewright and his defensive coaches on the sideline. Blue Devils have had an excellent game plan, I thought, to keep the ball on the ground, to keep it away from the Graham defense and their explosive wishbone offense. And the Blue Devil defense played superlative. I hope that as you watch on film, the parents and supporters of these young Blue Devils meet at midfield with Coach Nick Colabro to have their closing prayer and to accept the Region 4 championship. We hope that you have enjoyed this broadcast from Channel 30, and I hope the audio hadn't been too bad. Things look like it maybe PJ will be able to go up the road next week and be back as your play-by-play man. If it's everything works out all right, Gwen gets all the reservations made, I'll probably go along too for the ride. But we want to thank Daniel Darty today for helping me, giving me an opportunity to swallow every now and then as he made a comment and made some real good comments and ran the camera at the same time. And that's not easy to do. And of course, Gwen has done an excellent job all year long in her film and in her producing and directing and kind of keeping me and PJ and Daniel and the whole crew straight. So as you shoot, as we see Coach Calabro and the sports fans and the Gate City Blue Devil fans at midfield, the presentation should be made shortly to the head football coach and athletic director at Gate City High School, Coach Nick Calabro, of the Region 4 District 3 Championship. I'm Larry Shelton. I ask you again to tune in tomorrow to the tape-delayed broadcast of this Region 4 Championship game that will be replayed at 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon on Channel 30. See you again next week.